Hey, how y'all doing? Several things. I'm exhausted. Technology has not been on my side, and I don't know why I agreed to do this. I wanted to make tier list videos, not knowing how to format a tier list video, and then I gave y'all options. Don't know why I gave y'all options, but I did. And so now we're here, but welcome. Will I get this video edited in time for Wednesday? Probably not, but you know what? We're just going with the flow right now. We're just going with the flow. Now, I feel like this entire video is gonna feel incredibly redundant or incredibly repetitive because of how much I mention these books and how slow I read. I don't read as fast as the average bookish person, but that's okay because then I can just follow them and they can tell me about all the books that I missed out on and I can add them to my TBR for the year after. But this is me ranking my reads from 2023. I read 75, 76 books in 2023, which my goal was 75, so barely scathed by. Let me tell you something, novellas, a lifesaver. You want to reach your reading goal? Pick up a novella. Pick up plenty of novellas. Now 75 is a lot shorter than the amount of books that I read in 2022, but it's fine, we move. I'm trying to get back into the groove of things. So I've made my tier ranking list and all the categories. We could have done the 5-star rating system for this, but that's no fun. So, S tier, if I could force you to read this, I would, but I can't. But if I could, I would. Then we have 5 out of 5, 10 out of 10, incredible, show-stopping. This is basically like 5-star is what I rated these books. Just about around there. Then we have 4-star, which is highly recommend. I enjoyed this book. We have our 3-star area, which was, well, it was a book. Read at your own risk, because you might love it, you might hate it. It stays in the middle. Then we have our 2-star ranking part, which is like, it could have been decent. It could have been a 3, but it wasn't, so it's going here. And then we have 1-star, which is, and you did that for what? Throwed the whole book away. And then lastly, I remembered nothing from this book. Don't ask me questions. Went right over my head. I can't recall it to you because that happens sometimes. I mean, this isn't AP English class. I'm not getting quizzed on this, and I don't know how to go about this. We could go about it by trying to remember what I read what month, and then after that, if I forget, just keep moving on. Or I could just start with the books that I've mentioned recently. Recently, I did do a Valentine's Day romance book recommendation video, which those are all romance books that I highly recommend, or books with romance elements that I highly recommend. So maybe I'll just start there and then we'll move on from there, which I think will be pretty easy. In that video, I mentioned a lot of Kennedy Ryan, and last year I read her Kingmaker series along with a novella because she didn't release any books in 2023. So for the entire Kingmaker series, this is how we're gonna go about it. If you don't know about the Kingmaker series is a romance between a white male main character and a Native American female main character, and they're both heavily involved in trying to better the environment. It's a lot of politics within these books. Our female main character is a campaign manager, and our male main character comes from a rich family background, and his brother is running for president. But because of their family issues, particularly the male main character's dad doing some very unethical business making that is destroying native land that the son obviously does not agree with, it puts our female main character's morals into question, whether she wants to be with him or not. And there's a whole lot of drama going on in the background as well. And I think Kennedy Ryan did a great job at respecting the community that she's writing about. And in the beginning, in the author's note, you can see her write all her thank yous to the people that she talked to when she was writing this book. And you can see how much care she put into it when telling that story that's obviously not her own. And with Kennedy Ryan's book, she always stresses me out, so we're gonna put those in up here. Now the Rebel King I'll put in highly recommend, and then there's a novella called All the King's Men. Right after, I'll put it in highly recommend. Then we have Queen's Move. Now, Queen's Move is between the female main character and Kingmaker, her best friend. So that's our new main character for Queen's Move, and it's a second chance romance between her and her childhood best friend, where they were really close in their adolescence, but then some family drama happened, which caused the guy's family to move him across the country, and they haven't spoken since. And he's gotten married since then and had a kid, but his wife's like, I don't know if this marriage is working out. Can we separate so I can go hook up with my friend that I've been wanting to hook up with. Can I go? And then he said, okay, fine, I guess. He agrees. And then our new main character, she's back in town, and then they get back to reconnecting their relationship. And that book also stressed me out because this man's baby mama is irritating as hell. How dare you bring up the topic of wanting to separate from me so you can go hook up with your friend, but the second that I find someone else to get with, you want to throw a hissy fit. No, like I wasn't having it. I was angry, but I will put it here. But man, did that anger me. I also read In 1,000 Dark Nights novella by Kennedy Ryan called The Close-Up, which The Close-Up combines all of her universes into one novella basically, but we're following one couple, but there's a lot of references to all the other characters within the Kennedy Ryan verse of characters throughout her book series, and that was a really fun, spicy read. So I'll put that one also in 5 out of 5, 10 out of 10. I had a great time. Another author that I recommend a lot that has a mafia romance series that I love and adore because there's no third act breakups. It's very quick, short, to the point. I want to be with you, let's get married type energy, but all in this mafia world with black mafia characters, black love throughout the entire series, because when you look at a lot of mafia romance books, there's just a lot of caucasity, and I wanted to start here where everybody's black, and I had a fun time reading it. My favorite one was Sinful Desire because, find me a man that builds me a house. Do it. You go build me a house, you go get me my dream dog, you get me my dream ring. Like that's that entire book. All these go up here. Another book that I mentioned in that Valentine's Day video, Deanna Gray has a hockey romance series that has black female main characters falling in love with hockey players. There's a lot more black people in it because a lot of hockey romance books. It's very white. So this is where I started again. We have Sunny Disposition and Team Players. Sunny Disposition is grumpy sunshine between a hockey player and a gamer. She's a streamer. And then we have Team Players, which is a friends with benefits between two hockey players, female hockey player and male hockey player. So we love that. We love to see it. I think both characters, the female main characters, are bisexual. We love that as well. And we're still on the Valentine's Day rec video, and if I could force you to read this, I would. Finding Jupiter. I mentioned it in that video. It's my favorite YA romance books, right next to like Love Radio, and it's so good, so cute. We have Orion and Ray. Orion meets Ray at a roller skating rink and was like, who is that beautiful black girl with the braids? I need to know her immediately. And it's a summer romance. They're hanging out all summer, getting to know each other. He is smitten head over heels for this girl. It's so adorable. And something about their past, specifically on Ray's father's death, really puts a strain on their romantic relationship. There's like a bit of drama back there. And I'm not going to tell you about it. You just have to figure out what it is. You have to figure out and read it. There's a lot of beautiful poems in the book as well, and beautiful art. Like our female main character, she loves to look at classic books and then block out words to make poems. It's so good. It's so good. So I remember the first book that I read in 2023 was gifted to me by an indie author, and it's called The Hidden Script. And I gotta say, I gave that book like 2-3 stars. It wasn't great. It wasn't good. The Hidden Script is exactly what it sounds like in the description if you want to read it, where we follow these main characters basically go from point A to point B. Point A is where their old lives were, and point B is the competition that a kingdom is hosting for these characters to be kings and queens, right? So they go in groups and they compete in these trials, and then whoever wins those trials gets crowned. And the book starts off with like a lot of action. There's like so many different magical type of people. Like there's a shapeshifter kid that I think dies within like the first chapter. Like there's like a big fight, and all our characters are scattered everywhere, and we're honestly just watching them get from point A to point B. And it just felt really discombobulating, because at a certain point halfway through I was like, okay, so when are they all going to meet? What are these games? Who are the other people that are competing in the competition? What is this world? Who is hosting this competition? All those questions were barely answered until like the very end. Like even all of our main characters don't fully meet back up again until the middle of the book. Because at the point A of the book, like they've arrived, but then some of them still are like scattered out doing their own little thing, and they don't fully get all back together until like the middle of the book. And I still don't know who's hosting this competition, or barely know what this world is about, or how many power systems there are. I think they do explain it, but it just felt very confusing because, again, I'm still stuck on the first scene where there was a lot of action and it looked like people died, and I don't know any updates from that. It felt a little bit all over the place. But then I look at the back and I read the description. I'm like, oh no, this is exactly what you told me it was going to be. Maybe I just didn't enjoy it. And I hate talking bad about indie author books. I hate it. Maybe you'll like it if you go read it and you want to go support Jemima Victor. For me, it wasn't hitting. I was just very confused. Next, let's go with the Blood Trials. Yeah, I read the Blood Trials. Everybody and their mother was talking about the Blood Trials. Now, I'm not a big sci-fi girly, and it's a sci-fi fantasy. So I never want to make myself read something that I don't think I'm going to enjoy and then put it as like, oh, it was bad, because it wasn't bad. My brain just wasn't clicking. So we're gonna put it at 3. If you love sci-fi, you're gonna love the book. If you don't like sci-fi, I don't know what to tell you. Ooh, Partners in Crime by Alicia Ray. I remember it being a second chance romance where our characters get kidnapped and now have to run all around Vegas doing all this bunch of stuff to like retrieve something back. And I think our female main character hides a lot about her identity in this book. Like, I remember they were set up through a matchmaking system, and then they just broke it off, and now they're back together, but they're having to forced proximity be back together because of this situation that they're in. This life or death situation that they're in. There's a lot of drama. There's kidnapping, there's gambling, there's drama, and I had fun. I had a fun time, and I would highly recommend it. Next, Love Times Infinity. It's a YA contemporary romance. I remember our female main character is writing a letter for college applications, and it's a lot having to discover things about yourself. And our female main character lives with her grandmother because her mother gave her up at a young age, and that really put emotional turmoil onto her. And this whole book is really just her coming into her own, finding out more about herself, learning more about herself, and it was great. It was a great read. Confessions of an Alleged Good Girl is another book that I mentioned in my Valentine's Day recommendation video. Well, I mentioned all of Joy Goffney's books, and I think they're good YA contemporary romance coming of age stories for black girls that I wish that I had growing up. Ooh, okay, Somebody That I Used to Know by Dana L. Davis. We have these ex-best friends where one of the friends became famous at a young age in music. He became famous in the music industry and kind of left the female best friend behind, and now he's in some hot water. So he's come back into town, he has to live with her family again, and they're reconnecting and reconciling their lost friendship and maybe forming a romantic relationship. And I did DNF this halfway through, simply because too much YA at one time, the dialogue starts to make me angry. It's like you can tell the author does not know how children speak to each other. So we're gonna put that at 3 just because you might love it, you might hate it. I know somebody else DNF'd this book because they didn't like the fact that the female main character grew up with a white family. Like, she's black, but she's adopted by an entirely white family. And there was some things in the way that was written that they didn't appreciate. But I DNF'd it because of the dialogue. I was getting irritated. Anna Huang's Kings of Sin series. I read King of Pride and King of Greed. If you don't know the Kings of Sin series, Anna Huang is doing a bunch of billionaire romances based off of the 7 deadly sins. There's already been Wrath, Pride, and Greed. King of Pride is between Isabel and Kai. Isabel works at the gentleman's club that is often referenced a lot in these billionaire romances by Anna Huang. Kai frequents this gentleman's club, and they start hooking up and form a relationship. But there's a lot of family drama that's prevents them to be together. A lot of she's not good enough for you, all that nonsense. And then you have King of Greed, which is between Dominic and Alessandra, where Dominic is a businessman. He mainly focuses on his business, and Alessandra is sick and tired of it. She wants attention because he does not know how to be attentive to his wife. He kind of just ignores her constantly. So they separate, and then the entire book is him trying to learn how to, be a husband. That's the whole book. Ooh, these are some erotica books. On Time and Truth Game by Lily S. I think it should just be categorized as erotica, and I don't think I love erotica that much. I didn't really like the writing in it. I think I need plot with my spicy times, and I don't remember a lot of the plot throughout either of these books. I didn't like the writing style in these books, and again, I don't like talking bad about indie authors' books. This is nothing about the author. This is just me just not vibing with this book. So I'm gonna put that there. Where There Is Smoke, There Is Fire, another indie author book that I didn't enjoy, and I hate bringing it up. But this book had a writing style that I didn't like. I was confused some of the time because I just didn't like how we were switching between scenes. Also, cheating trope? Don't like cheating trope at all. Ooh, Take a Hike by Mimi Grace. I mentioned a lot of Mimi Grace's books in my Valentine's Day recommendation video, and this follows a black plus-size MC who inherits this like outdoor excursion type company. Think of like a Bass Pro Shop, kind of like that type of deal, or like a shop that sells a lot of gear when it comes to like outdoor activities. She inherits that, and everybody in the business is like, I've never seen you before in my life. Why would he give the company to you when he could have gave it to this guy that's been working here for X amount of years that we thought was going to be the manager? What gives? What is this? And so they're in a bit of a enemies to lovers type ting, where it's a lot of him just being like, you just hand over the company to me, and then she's like, can I at least try it out before? Because she wants to find out these new things about herself and maybe discover a new passion in life. She's like, oh, this is like the perfect opportunity. And everybody there's just like, leave. But I'll put this in highly recommend because I love Mimi Grace. Oh, Devon and Chris Plan a Wedding. Reality TV show, romance, sapphic romance, black romance. I enjoyed myself. I'll put it at highly recommend. Forget Me Not by Julie Soto. Second chance romance between a florist and a wedding planner, and our florist is a grumpy. I put that one at, I love that one a lot. Put that one I highly recommend. I did enjoy myself. We have When Life Gives You Lemons by Noor Sasha, where it's enemies to lovers, arranged marriage, and these two are like the worst people you will ever meet. They're so awful. They're so awful. We have our single 25-year-old female MC and our MMC that's a single dad. He adopted this little black girl. She's the sweetest little thing. And their parents make them get together because after an altercation that they started at his sister's wedding. And the whole entire book, like, it's just a bunch of pettiness between them the entire time. If you don't like enemies to lovers in a contemporary setting, that's completely understandable. I thought parts of this book was funny, but also, like, they're so mean. He is so mean. He's so mean. So I'll put it here, just for me. I'll put it there. I know I have friends that loved it, that absolutely loved it. And the cover is so pretty, but I'm gonna put it there. Ooh, Final Offer by Lauren Asher. If you didn't watch my video where I talk about all the books that I genuinely hate, it's going there. I can't stand that book. And I'll summarize it again. Basically, we're following the grandchildren of Walt Disney, and in his will, he made them all do an X task, and if they don't complete that task, they don't get their inheritance. And in this book, the task is selling a lake house, but it's in the small town where his ex-girlfriend is. And he broke up with his ex-girlfriend because he was an alcoholic, and he just dipped. And the entire book is the small town treating this alcoholic as if he burned all their crops, destroyed all their businesses, and destroyed their tiny small town with his alcohol problem. No, he broke up with the girl. He had a breakup with the girl, and it wasn't even that bad. But the entire town holds it over his head and treats him like he's trash. And I did not like reading it at all. It made me so angry. Like, it's just like the consequences do not add up to what the issue is with her books. Like, I feel like there was another romance book that she came up with recently, where it's like, you're mad at this male main character because of something that's so minuscule and so not important. Like I don't think she comes up with like good enough conflicts in her books to make me be mad at a character. It's always just so irrational. It's such irrational conflicts that she tries to make rational. But then the entire time I'm reading, I'm just like, no, I'm angry. I'm angry at you, the author, not the character. Why did you write it like this? I don't know about her new series, but I do know that if you want me to read it, you're gonna have to pay me. You're gonna have to pay me. You're gonna have to buy the books for me and send them my way. You have to gift them to me something, because I'm not spending my money. I'm so sorry. Like, I'm so sorry. I read the Brown Sister trilogy, and I have a reading vlog of that up. So just to summarize, y'all are right. She ate that up. Danny and Eve are my favorites. Ooh, I read Self-Made Boys, which is a Great Gatsby remix. If you don't know the series, there's an entire series, but they take classics and remix them, and this one was The Great Gatsby. Now, I never read The Great Gatsby in school. I wasn't in that class. They made me read The Outsiders, but like, I know of Great Gatsby. Never read the book, never seen the movie, but I enjoyed myself, so I'm putting this at highly recommend. We have a queer romance where our MMC is trans. I remember that. Oh, yes, I also read Dating Dr. Dill by Nisha Sharma, which Nisha Sharma has an If Aunties Were Shakespeare series where she's taking Shakespearean plays and retelling them. Dating Dr. Dill is based off of Taming of the Shrew. So if you like 10 Things I Hate About You, you'll probably like Dating Dr. Dill. And I love 10 Things I Hate About You. And then we have the second one, Tastes Like Sugar, and I put that one at a 3 to 4 star rating. I also read 1 Week in Paradise by Anise Starr and One Last Job by Anise Starr, also mentioned in my Valentine's Day rec video. I'm putting those up here. I highly enjoyed myself. All black female main characters getting loved on. We love to see it. We have They Hate Each Other by Amanda Woodley. I think I also mentioned this in my Valentine's Day reading wrap-up video. So again, it's getting put up here. Honestly, you should probably just go back and just watch that video because a lot of these books are just in there. A Million to One. This is a heist that takes place on the Titanic, and we follow 4 female main characters. There's a sapphic romance in there, and it was fun. Oh, now I have these novellas that I read during the month of June. Well, specifically on Juneteenth. So these are all Juneteenth novellas. Kennedy Ryan released a quick free one in her newsletter that I read, and I don't remember anything. But it was good. I remember enjoying myself. I rated it like 5 stars in Storygraph. Do I remember most things? No. Then we also have this novella by Danielle Allen called The Delay. I think these characters are going from point A to point B. They meet on the flight together. They're sitting next to each other and then they hook up. And Danielle Allen has a lot of holiday novellas, so this and her list of holiday novellas are really introducing me to her to get into her actual series or any book series that she's written. She's in my TBR jar for indie authors. Put this one in. I'll put this one up here. Yeah. Then I have the 11 book series of Bays of Juneteenth, where a bunch of black indie authors came together to write novellas for this holiday. They have another one that I think is just called The Bays of Christmas, where it's a bunch of black indie authors that came together to write Christmas novellas, and you can read them in a series. And I love that. I love when they write novella series, because it really is another way to introduce you to more black indie authors. That's what I've been using anyway, and I put all their names in my TBR jar, and we're gonna get to them eventually. I think this series has like 11 books. Thank you for filling up my reading goal list. Next we have Writer's Block by Mia Monique. Now, if you don't think you know who Mia Monique is, yes you do, because she has the Grim Reaper's Lawyer series. Now, this type of romance where our characters are, where one's like a human and the other one is mythical, I don't really vibe with those romances a lot. I haven't gotten to any type of like monster-ish type romance series. Like, if both characters aren't a fictional creature, it makes me like a bit uncomfy. But Mia Monique came out with a novella that's a sports romance called The Writer's Block between 2 best friends, the friends to lovers, where you have one of them is a football player, the other one is a writer, and they want to write a book where the main characters engage in like sexual interactions, but they haven't had a lot of sexual interactions in real life. So their best friends like, hey, we could occasionally hook up and then you can use that as inspiration for your book. Explaining these out loud sounds ridiculous, but I liked it, so there. Keep Her Safe by QB Tyler. This is my first read by QB Tyler. We're following a bodyguard romance. You have a bodyguard and I think an actress. And the actress's ex-boyfriend is being a weirdo the entire book. But I thought it was cute. I don't remember a lot other than like that's like the main premise. From Lemnos with Love. Sally, our female main character, is irritating the entire time. Basically, our male main character, engaged, family, is getting married. He meets a date. He invites this girl that he went to school with. The girl that he went to school with, our female main character, basically it judges him off rip just because a lot of girls at their school had a crush on him. So she assumed he was a player. And so the entire book is just her being just the most judgmental person in the room. And I don't like her. I don't like when I hate female main characters. But God, she irritated me. Like, she's so, like, I thought I was a judgmental person. But, we move on though. Love and War, which is a duet novella between Asia Monique and Stephanie Nicole Norris. Again, we love Asia Monique. Obviously based off of Greek gods, you have Ares and Eros. Now, love me some Asia Monique. Love this one. Absolutely adored it. When it comes to Stephanie Nicole Norris, I didn't really vibe with this one as much, so we're putting it here. We have Me Too by Ellie B. I'll put it at towards a book. Be at your own risk. We have our 2 main characters who, I think our female main character just got this new job where he is the boss at this new job, and they both are experiencing domestic violence in their own individual relationships. Him by his girlfriend, her by an ex-boyfriend, I think, that is like stalking her and following her. The book is very intense when it comes to that, when it comes to talk about their traumatic experiences in domestic violence situations. Terms of Inheritance, which is also really, really dark. Our female main character, again, in a type of domestic abuse situation, her family married her off to this really old man, but the really old man died. However, he put into writing that when he dies or if something happens, she would then have to be married to his successor, which is his grandson. And the grandson, everybody in the entire family is really uncomfortable with the situation because the grandpa's awful. Grandpa was a bad, awful man, and she's been trapped in this house being like abused by this old man that her family just sold her off to. But now she's being moved from being his wife, obviously now that he's dead, to his grandson's wife. And his grandson, obviously of an appropriate age, is like, this is so weird and I don't want to put her through this situation, but if he doesn't get married to her, he can't have his inheritance. So they agree, okay, we're gonna be married for X amount of time. You can leave whenever you want. We just need to do the process and be married for at least like a little bit. Then this can go through and then you can go and do whatever you want, and you want to divorce me, and that'll be that. But throughout the book, she's spending more time with his family and realizing, oh, they're not the bad guys, it was just him. She starts spending more time with her now new husband, and they start getting along more. The entire book is her processing a lot of her trauma that she went through and learning a lot of things because of that traumatic experience. And I would classify it as dark romance in that aspect, like the things that she went through in the past, very dark. Love is a Revolution by Renee Watson. I put that at 4 stars. It was cute YA black romance with a plus size MC. I think it takes place during the summertime, I'm pretty sure. This Sunbury Trials by Aiden Thomas is my first Aiden Thomas read ever. I put it at 5 stars. It was really, really good. I think the sequel is coming out later in the year. I don't know how else to describe the Sunbury Trials without giving up too much of the plot of it. But basically, if you liked Percy Jackson, you like learning more about like cultural gods and stuff, that's basically what the Sun Trials is. We have a trans main character, we have a queer cast of characters, they're all competing in these trials that are set up by the gods. Tears in the Water was also really good. That one's an indie book where we have a trans love interest and a non-binary main character, and there's found family in it. Everybody's finding out more about their identity. We have a main character that has anxiety. Next, I read The Last Minute First Lady. I put it at 3 stars. I think our female main character is a reporter. Our male main character is a politician, and they're like fake dating. They're in like some type of fake dating relationship. I think I remember it that way. But also, I put it here at read at your own risk, just because for me, I was getting irritated in the middle of the book, especially when the third act breakup happens, and it was definitely the man's fault, and he says something that irritates me. And just like, that's where we're at. The Romantic Agenda by Claire Kahn. I don't know how to put this. I'll put it at 3. I don't know if I'll put it at 3 or 4. I'll put it at 4. But the main character is asexual, and she has a crush on her best friend, but her best friend is in a clearly serious relationship with somebody else, so she's still pining after him, and she's in her 30s. I'm like, girl, you gotta let this go. We gotta wrap it up. But in this book, the best friend and his girlfriend invite her and another friend on this weekend trip to this like cabin out in the middle of nowhere, which that part already, why you two just go together? Why are we inviting a bunch of 2+1s on the show right now? You could have just went by yourself. But they go, and I guess our female main character throughout the trip is learning to let go of her feelings for her best friend as she hangs out with this new guy that was also added to the trip, and they start hanging out together, and she starts finding romantic relations with this guy. However, her male best friend is a weirdo. Like, the possessiveness that he has over her, especially when she's hanging out with this new guy, is strange, and everybody's noticing it, including his girlfriend. I'm just like, if we're gonna get a plot where he decides like, no, I want to be with you because he sees her with somebody else, I was gonna probably DNF it, but that's not what happened. However, the resolve of that didn't make me feel good enough. Like, I'm like, oh, I would stop being friends with him. I'll be like, you're so strange. I don't like any of this at all. I don't care if it's protectiveness or just possessiveness, but it's gotta stop. And it was weird. I have a friend that is ace that read this book, and they did not like it. They did not like the representation. They did not like that this 30-year-old woman was pining after us for so long. They didn't like any part of it or anything about it. They thought it was bad rep. Take a Chance by my friend Miyako May, also mentioned in my Valentine's Day reading wrap-up video. And because my friend wrote it, Office Hours by Katrina Jackson, mentioned in my Valentine's Day rec video. I loved it. It was a lot of just pining. It was very spicy. There wasn't even like a third act breakup in it like that. I don't think. It didn't even make me, if there was, it didn't make me remember it or make me that angry. The Duchess Effect, which is the sequel to American Royalty. Why it needed a sequel? Not sure. Didn't care for it. Our female main character was irritating me by her just withholding information for no reason. The lack of trust in that relationship was wild. As a spooky read, I read Blood Debts. Loved Blood Debts. It's witchy. It takes place in Louisiana. We have twin main characters that are trying to find out what nonsense was going on behind the scenes that made their family become dethroned in their magical society. A lot of talks about racism also in that book as well. We have the sequel to The Witchery by S. Isabel. Also put it at right up here. Actually, you know what? We're gonna move these down. We're gonna move these down to highly recommend. I've talked about The Witchery by S. Isabel a lot. It's a queer, richy dynamic of a book series where we're following this coven who in their witch town are just trying to stop these curses and shenanigans. One of our characters, I remember, is sapphic in that book. The other character, bisexual, and there's also a non-binary character that is mentioned throughout those books. I think it's just a fun time. We have black gay witches. You got me. Next, I read Seduced by the Pumpkin Spice Latte. Don't judge me. It was fall season, and listen, it just it was there, and it was short, and you know what we're gonna do? There. Seduced by the Pumpkin Spice Latte gets its own category. What I wanted to be was a sentient pumpkin spice latte coming to life and proceeding. But you know what? That's not what happened at all, and it goes there now. Now we have these 3 holiday novellas that I remember nothing about. I read Spread Joy by Danielle Allen. I read The Noisemaker by Danielle Allen. Obviously, it was just black romance novellas that are based around the holidays, and I did rate them 5 stars, so obviously I enjoyed myself. Also, Spiked Hot Chocolate by Rosalie Adam, that I enjoyed myself, and that is the entire list. But this is my ranking from my reads from 2023. I know it's a bit late. Not sorry about it. If this video makes sense to you, I hope it did, and you can give it a like if you made it this far. Did you read any books that I read in 2023? Would you read any of these books? Which ones sound the most interesting to you? Do our rankings for some of these books look somewhat similar? If you disagree with anything I said in this video, comment down below. But that's all I have for this week. Hopefully this video comes out someday between Wednesday and Sunday. Anyways, I hope you all have a great weekend, and then after this we're gonna get back into reading vlogs. Okay, bye.